Hello everyone, welcome to Tales of Light. What if one conversation could change the way you see life forever? This young man didn't believe it until he met someone who made him question everything. It happened on a quiet evening, somewhere in the open fields of Montana. The wind was calm, the sky painted gold by the setting sun, and in that stillness, fate brought two souls together, one searching for meaning, the other holding the answer. The young man sat quietly, watching the last bit of sunlight fade behind the hills. His name was Ethan, 24, smart, capable, but tired of trying, tired of failing, tired of not knowing what to do next. He had left his small town in Tennessee months ago, chasing a dream that never seemed to come true. Every plan he made had fallen apart. Every door he knocked on closed. So that evening he came here to the fields outside a little countryside town just to breathe, to think, to escape. But what he didn't know was that this was the day his life was about to change. From the quiet road behind him came the soft tapping sound of a wooden cane. He turned his head, and there he was, an old man, walking slowly down the dirt path, his eyes gentle but filled with something powerful. Not the kind of power you see in strong people, but the kind that comes from knowing. The old man smiled faintly and said, "You look like someone who's been fighting battles that no one else can see." Ethan didn't reply. He just nodded, looking back at the sunset. The old man stepped closer. "Mind if I sit?" he asked. Ethan shrugged. "Sure, it's a free fence." The old man chuckled softly, resting his cane beside him. For a few moments, neither of them spoke. Only the sound of the evening wind filled the air. Then the old man said quietly, "Tell me, son, when was the last time you felt proud of yourself?" Ethan looked down, his throat tight. "I don't know," he whispered. "Maybe never." The old man turned his eyes toward the fading sun. "Then maybe it's time you learn the one thing that makes a man truly proud. Discipline." Ethan frowned. "Discipline, that's just rules, right?" The old man smiled again. "No, discipline isn't about rules. It's about freedom." Ethan didn't understand. Not yet. But something in that man's voice made him want to listen. And that was the beginning of everything. Ethan frowned, staring at the horizon. "Freedom?" he repeated. "How can discipline give me freedom? All my life I tried to follow the rules, and still I lost everything." The old man nodded slowly, eyes fixed on the setting sun. "Because you followed rules, not principles. Rules tell you what to do when someone's watching. Discipline tells you what to do when no one is." Ethan stayed silent. Those words hit something deep inside him, something he didn't want to admit. The old man looked at him again. "You say you lost everything. Tell me, what did you lose, really?" Ethan's voice cracked. "My chance. My dream. I wanted to start a small business in Nashville. I worked for months, but everything collapsed. I lost money, friends, even my confidence." The old man's gaze softened. "And now," Ethan shook his head, "now I feel like I'm just surviving." For a moment, the old man didn't speak. Then he said, "Do you know what's worse than failing, son?" Ethan looked up. "What?" "Living without trying again." The words hung in the air, heavy but true. Ethan's chest tightened. He wanted to argue, but he couldn't. He wanted to say life wasn't fair, but deep down, he knew the man was right. The old man leaned forward. "You think discipline is about waking up early or working hard, but it's not. It's about keeping promises, especially the ones you make to yourself." Ethan looked at him, confused but curious. The old man continued, "You can't control the world, son, but you can control yourself, and that's where all real power begins." The wind blew softly between them. Ethan turned his eyes to the fields, endless, golden, peaceful. Yet inside, a storm was forming. "Why are you telling me this?" Ethan asked quietly. The old man smiled, but his eyes looked distant. Because once I was you. Ethan froze. He didn't expect that. The old man's hands trembled slightly as he spoke. I lost everything too. My job, my family, my hope. But I found something that never left me. Discipline. It rebuilt me from the ground up. Ethan looked at the old man, truly seeing him for the first time. The old man added softly, "You're not too late, son. You're just undisciplined. And that can change, if you want it to." The sun had almost set. The last light touched their faces. 2 generations sharing the same silence. One filled with regret, the other with awakening. The next morning, the countryside was bathed in soft golden light. Ethan arrived at the same wooden fence, hoping to see the old man again. He was there, already standing, leaning slightly on his cane, eyes scanning the quiet fields. "Good morning," the old man said calmly. "Did you sleep well?" Ethan hesitated. "I thought about what you said last night." The old man nodded. "Good. Thinking is the first step. But thinking alone changes nothing. Discipline requires action." Ethan looked puzzled. "Action?" "Yes. I'm giving you a challenge," the old man said, pointing to a small plot of land behind the fence. "This field is yours for the day. You will rise with the sun, work without pause, focus on every detail. No distractions, no complaints. Just you, the soil, and your effort. That is discipline." Ethan swallowed hard. "Just work?" "Exactly," the old man said, smiling faintly. "Discipline is built in small steps, repeated every day. You think big changes happen overnight. They don't. They happen here." He tapped his chest gently. "Inside you." Ethan stared at the field, feeling overwhelmed. He wanted to turn away, to escape, to ignore it. But something in the old man's eyes held him. "All right," Ethan said finally. "I'll try." The day began with sunlight spilling over the hills. Ethan's hands were raw, his muscles ached, sweat dripping down his face. He wanted to quit after an hour, but the old man's words echoed, "Discipline is freedom. Discipline is your power." Hours passed. Each task, planting, weeding, arranging, felt like a battle. But with every action, Ethan felt something shift inside. By evening, he looked at the field. The plants were aligned, the soil turned, the work done. His back ached, his palms burned, yet he felt alive. The old man approached, smiling. "See what happens when you don't give up. One day, one action at a time, and even the smallest effort becomes something greater." Ethan's chest swelled with pride. Not the pride of victory over others, but over himself. For the first time in months, he felt control, purpose, and a quiet joy. The old man leaned on his cane and said softly, "Discipline isn't punishment. It's love. For yourself, your future, your life." Ethan nodded. The sunset painted them both in gold. He realized something profound. It wasn't the field that had changed. It was him. And in that moment, he understood. He could rise again, stronger, focused, unstoppable. The next morning, Ethan woke up earlier than the sun. For the first time in months, he felt a sense of purpose before even taking a step. He returned to the small field. The soil, now slightly dry from the night, awaited his attention. But today, something had changed. Ethan didn't feel tired, frustrated, or lost. Instead, he felt steady. The old man was already there, leaning gently on his cane. "You came early," he said, voice calm. Ethan smiled faintly. "I want to keep learning." The old man nodded. "Discipline is not a one-time lesson, son. It's a way of life, and every action you take builds the person you will become tomorrow." Ethan looked at the sunrise over the Montana fields, golden light spilling across the horizon. "I understand now," he said softly. It's not about rules or success or failing. It's about keeping promises to myself. Small actions repeated every day. That's discipline. The old man's eyes gleamed. Exactly. The world doesn't hand you what you want. You take it with focus, with effort, with consistency. That is the freedom discipline brings. Ethan nodded again. His heart felt lighter. The frustration, the fear, the hopelessness, all of it was fading. "Thank you," Ethan whispered. The old man smiled gently. "Remember, son, it's not about perfection. It's about persistence. One day, you'll look back and realize the small choices you make every day were what built your life. Discipline is love for yourself, your future. Never forget that." Ethan gazed over the fields, breathing in the calm, golden air. He knew he could fail again. He knew challenges would come. But he also knew one thing: with discipline, he could rise every single time. And in that quiet countryside, under a sky painted gold, Ethan finally felt free. Ethan stood in the quiet Montana fields, the golden sunlight warming his face. He thought about the past months, the failures, the doubts, the endless nights of wondering if he would ever succeed. And then he remembered the old man's words. Discipline is freedom. Discipline is love for yourself. Keep your promises to yourself, even when no one is watching. He smiled, finally understanding. Life wasn't about luck or waiting for the perfect moment. It was about the choices he made every single day. From that day forward, Ethan carried discipline with him, in his work, in his dreams, in his heart. Every small effort repeated with focus and intention built the life he wanted. The old man walked beside him silently, the two of them watching the sunrise together. It was more than a lesson. It was a new way of seeing the world. One step at a time, one promise kept at a time. Ethan knew the path ahead would not always be easy, but now he had something stronger than fear, stronger than doubt. He had himself, and that, he realized, was all he needed. As the golden sun climbed higher, Ethan felt a quiet confidence he had never known before. He had faced his doubts, embraced discipline, and discovered the freedom that comes from keeping promises to himself. The old man's words echoed in his mind. Discipline is not punishment. It's love for yourself. And that love builds everything you dream of. Ethan took a deep breath, looking over the fields one last time. He knew challenges would come, but now he had the tools to overcome them. Focus, patience, and unwavering commitment. And that's the lesson for all of us. No matter how lost you feel, no matter how many times you've failed, the choice to rise again always lies within you. If this story inspired you, remember, start small, keep your promises to yourself, and never stop moving forward. Because your future is waiting for the discipline you choose to embrace today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Your journey begins with a single step. Take it now.